Today we're going to be showing you how to make coiled wire jewelry. To start with, we're using the artistic wire Coiling Gizmo, and we're using the German style Bidalon wire. It is advisable to use 22 gauge for this, but then you can also use 20 gauge. Note that the lower the gauge number, the thicker the wire. So you need to be sure of the overall effect that you want. In this case, we have used equivalent of 22 gauge wire, and the first thing you do is to coil the wire. Now, just in case you don't know how to use a coiling gizmo, we're going to show you how to do that. So you take your wire, let the rest of the coil be in front of you, dangle in front of the coiling gizmo, and wrap it around the base, the loop that's there on the mandrel that you have selected. There are different mandrels that go with it, and the size of the mandrel will be determined, the size you use will be determined by how big you want the coiled wire to be. So having done that, you can either affix your coiling gizmo to a table, or in this case, just use it by holding it in your hand. That's actually fine. Then once you've put in the mandrel and you've looped the wire around the base of the loop on the right hand side, you can then begin to turn that handle. And as you turn it, the wire begins to coil on the mandrel. Remember to lubricate the mandrel, especially for the first use, and just use a little bit of lotion all around it to make it slide off easily. And then, when you have a long enough coil, or if you're making several coils, when you get to the end of the mandrel, then you simply take off the wire. You take it off by cutting the wire on the left-hand side, cutting from the coil, and on the right-hand side, that loop which you made, just carefully unravel the wire and cut, and keep it. It will be better for you to keep this wire because it can be used for other things. You can have like a stack-up organizer where you keep wire, but remember to separate the wire types. So if you're using gold-filled wire, let those scraps be in one place, and if you're using regular copper-coated wires, let them be in another place as well, just so that you don't mix them up. Now, having done that, you can now decide what length of coil you want to use. Now, the jewelry comes out very nice when you mix it with some beads. And so, in this case, we're already predetermining a length that we want. Now, you can just measure this on, either on a rod or on a piece of paper, on a wooden mandrel. And then you just take your coiled wire to it, and you can mark the place where you want to cut, or just simply push it apart and then you cut. And you do this until you get the desired length you want. Now bear in mind that in doing this, some of the wire ends may get somewhat distorted. And so you need to be sure that you can either correct them by using a round nose plier inside to see if they can smoothen up. And if they cannot, please cut neatly. Remember that if this is going to go on the skin and you don't want a situation whereby the skin gets scratched, so touch your wire and make sure that there are no rough edges that can graze someone's skin. That is very important. So you do this for the rest of the coil until you have enough coiled wire beads, because that's what they are now. And if you need to make some more, well, feel free to do so. After doing that, you can now check them one by one and make sure that anything that cannot blend, you have to remove. And you do this for all of them. And then you can also decide on what kind of beads you want to add to them. So you use, if you want to make a necklace, feel free to string with your regular stringing material. Or if you want to make just a simple bracelet like this one here that we're showing you, you can use elastic. And in using elastic, you know that it would be nice to end this near one of the coil openings so that the knots can easily go inside the coiled wire instead of you having to finish it off, maybe with a crimp cover. So this is it, and if you're familiar with stringing, you can see that this is very easy to do. Just decide on your pattern and then follow that pattern carefully until you arrive at the length that you need. For bracelets, you have to measure the wrist, and also if it's a necklace, you need to have a measurement to work with. This way you can make the length you desire for the necklace, and of course the bracelet you can also make to fit. So look at this. See this bracelet, and you see this one we're showing you here. All we've had to do is to end it and knot it in a way that it will not come off easily. And this is using the artistic wire coiling gizmo, which makes life so much easier when you want to coil wire. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you've been able to learn how to do this, and you'll be making some smashing jewelry for yourself using the coiling gizmo. Bye for now.